Good afternoon. You are joining us live from Motorland Aragon. The busy run to the end of the season starts here with a triple header coming up, races in Japan and Thailand after this one. But the big news this weekend is Marc Marquez is back, and here to tell us more, Simon Crafar, who was keeping a close eye on him at our most recent Misano test. Simon, he wasn't exactly slacking off. He was putting in the hard yards. So from a physical standpoint, how is he coming into this one?
Well, I'll be honest, like most of the riders, most of the people there, I was impressed, you know. I mean, Marc normally impresses, but I thought he would take it a little slower, you know. He did admit that on the first day he was riding without the same feel and wasn't coming as naturally. I think they're my words, but that's what I got from his interview. And then on the second day he got more feel and more laps in.
Yeah.
But what I was most impressed with, two things: the speed he got up to so early. The afternoon on the second day he was going fast, well, in the 32s, which is not mucking around. And then later on was the second day, in the heat in the afternoon, he was still going round and round, and that's when I thought he's going to be up for Aragon, because look at the amount of laps he's doing on the bike. He must be, you know what I mean, physically good enough. So really impressive.
Well, Santi Hernandez, his crew chief, earlier had a press conference and was asked by our very own Neil Morrison. One of the things that Marc said about his riding pre the operation is that he was now physically not able to ride the bike like he used to, and that was one of the key aims to get out of this operation. And he said already in Misano he was starting to ride a little bit more like the old Marc, which has got to be a good thing. Yeah,
and it's going to take time to, well, time to come back and be at his peak. How much, I don't know. Like I said, he always surprises us. But yeah, just to refer to how it was before, he always complained that he couldn't get in the position, especially on the right-handers, with that right arm. Didn't feel natural, and that's why, apart from the pain, that's why he wanted to get the op done. And it's sounding, the first sounds out are that it has worked, you know, the op. So I think it's going to be exciting for us for the rest of the year into next year.
Well, 1 year ago here in Aragon, we witnessed an absolutely epic battle between Ducati's Pecco Bagnaia and, of course, Marc Marquez. Bring it forward to this year, Simon. Is it beyond the realms of reality, really, that on his first race back we could see something like that?
It's a good question, and I think it's what everyone is wondering, but I genuinely think it's too much to ask. To come in after all he's been through, to be straight back at the front at the first race meeting back. I mean, if he does it, he's surprised me beyond expectation, even for Marc, because you're going to need a little bit of time. You think about it. The Honda is not in a good place at the moment. Yes, Marc is very good here, and the Honda traditionally has worked well here, even with its problems. But to come in to this event, first race back, and fight the fastest boys in the world, I think it's a little bit much to ask, or to expect, put it that way. If he does it, I'm going to be really impressed.
But also, it's Marc. You also slightly wouldn't be surprised, but let's see. Anyway, as you pointed out, Honda are in a very delicate situation now in terms of their development for 2023. It was really important for Honda to have Marc back. I remember you actually saying that you felt as though the surgery was more of a strategic move from when it came in order to get him back for this final part of the season. With the most recent Misano test, was there anything of any real significance to come out of that for Honda?
Well, one thing I saw was brand new chassis, so they've thrown more chassis at it. We saw a different aero. We just saw a different swing arm, apparently made by Calix. I don't know, it's an aluminium swing arm. We saw lower fairings, not unlike the Aprilia, a lower downdraft type of part, which is the Ducati have been using for some time. I mean, Honda are trying. For sure, they tried the first versions of the 23 engine, which everybody did at that test, because you're not allowed to use it any other time, you know. So they had to get a first impression. Honda are trying, and they're a technical giant, aren't they, you know? And budget-wise, they're right up there. So they're throwing everything at it. I'll be really surprised if they don't start coming out of the hole that they're in. But it's yet to be seen. You know, we're not really going to know until the first tests of next year.
You mentioned the Calyx swing arm that made its way out. I think it was Takaki Nakagami that was seen riding with that. It has been announced that he will remain with LCR Honda into 2023. Honda didn't really have that much of a choice. They needed another rider to keep that consistency that could give feedback when you're comparing bikes. But in terms of a personal point for Taka, is this his last chance with Honda, would you say?
I mean, this is only my impression, so I don't know how Honda are thinking, but I think without this situation, how it is right now, meaning two new guys coming in, you know, the two Suzuki riders jumping onto Hondas next year, LCR and alongside Marc, so they're new. They can't give feedback on what's better straight away. You know, they're going to need a bit of time to get up to pace on the Honda. Then with Marc being injured, and at the time these decisions are being made, you don't know how much you can rely on Marc being there to help development for the 23 bike. So to put Ayagura on the other bike is, I mean, they're going to have possibly no one ready to test the Honda differences straight away, which I think is a bit too big a risk. It was Lucio Ciccinello from LCR that pointed this out. Yeah. Totally makes sense. And the last piece of the puzzle was Ayagura said he doesn't want to move up yet. He wants, so it was, I think from all those angles, it was a no-brainer.
I'm glad you mentioned the Suzuki boys that will be moving over to Honda next year. One of them obviously being Joan Mir, who will join Marc Marquez in that box. He is back. He's been declared fit this weekend, which is such great news that he will be here to ride those 6 remaining races for Suzuki. But going back through my notes, Simon, it's actually pretty unbelievable that we're almost at the coattails of this year. He's not been on the podium. So my question to you is, can he do it? Can he finish off his Suzuki career with a bit of silverware?
Oof, that's a good question. I'm surprised he hasn't been on the box before now. I've got to remind everyone of the changes Suzuki made to the bike that did not suit him at the beginning of this year. I'm not just making excuses, it's a fact. Then Joan, I think, got a little rattled about Suzuki pulling the plug, and then all of a sudden he's got no job for next year when basically the deal was done. You know, that I think had an effect. Those two things, and the last piece of the puzzle of these not great results is that Suzuki, I feel, have been a little bit left behind in this year's march forward in development. You know, because yes, I mean, they're not going to be here next year. I think the effort has slowed down. I'm not saying it's stopped. Apparently there is new parts coming through, but only because they had them on the drawing board and mostly done when the news came. So they've thought, oh, we might as well get them out. And what I'm saying is all those factors have made it more difficult, Joan. I have not given up on him at all. And for the people that have, I only can point out, it's not just me that feels like that. HRC, Alberto Puig, they know what a special talent he is as well, and a driven young man. So he's going to be back. It's just, I don't know if it's going to be this year. I really don't know. I've got to put my hands up. I don't know.
Well, worth mentioning, on the podium here 1 year ago, so we will wait and see what this weekend brings for Joan. Among our returning faces this weekend, Cal Crutchlow makes his return to MotoGP. He is obviously taking the seat of Andrea Dovizioso, who took retirement after our last race in Misano. But actually, Simon, could this be a bit of a golden opportunity for Yamaha to have their test rider, who we know has been kept extremely busy, in for these 6 last races, who perhaps isn't as focused on results? Or maybe he is.
Well, I'd like to start by saying Carl's closer to my age than the young fellas in there.
He's
and
not
secondly,
thank you for that
I'm
one.
not sure that his fitness is up to it.
Oh, I know that you're going to be having
Carl,
a visit
so now
from Cal later on, Simon.
Moving along seriously, I think it's a great idea. You know, I'm right up for young guys getting an opportunity, so I love that first. But I can understand Yamaha, their angle, because, I mean, like Taka Nakagami, the racers that are focusing on racing don't have enough time, when they're focusing on the results with their crew chief to get the best possible result. And it starts from FP3 qualifying, but the build-up starts before that to make sure the result is there. They've got no time to take risks with development stuff. You're not allowed to try engine stuff, but everything around it you can. Not aero if you've already used, but what I'm saying is chassis, swing arms, electronic stuff, exhausts. You can inlets, all of this stuff. With the racers don't have time, and they've got a guy in Carl with experience that they can try things for next year, or even for this year during the race meeting. It's like an awesome opportunity, so totally understand why he's here.
And we believe there's also potentially a bit of an update for the Yamaha, a significant update for the Yamaha from the Misano test. I'll let you explain.
Well, they won't be able to use the engine, but just to let the viewers know that haven't heard already, the Yamaha have been struggling, haven't they, for the last couple of years to make a step power-wise. They really have. I mean, they tried to for this year. We were at Sepang when they first turned up for this year, and it wasn't any faster. It was the same. So whether that engine that they had planned for this year didn't work or wasn't reliable or whatever, but they didn't move forward now, at this test in Misano, we saw a good jump forward in top speed. That was clear for everyone to see. But top speed you only use once, maybe twice a lap for a short time. Apparently, speaking to the team, it's faster getting to that top speed as well, which is like, I think, music to the ears of Fabio. There's other areas that need improving to be able to use that. I think the devices help a lot in acceleration area and deceleration, which I think the other manufacturers, apart from Ducati, have got a bit of catching up to do. But what I'm saying is Fabio will put that extra power that Yamaha have turned up with for next year to real good use. The boy is amazing, so I'm pleased that Yamaha have turned up with what he has been requesting.
And we think there is a chassis that they were using in the test as well that will be here. Really
good point. So the chassis we saw was really easy to spot on Morbidelli's bike because it was unpainted, and then I looked at the differences and then saw that Fabio had one as well, painted, so it wasn't as obvious, but you could spot it was the new one. He said that he didn't go faster on it, but he felt better. He liked it. And, when you like something, it gives you confidence. Confidence is speed, you know what I mean? So I'll be really surprised if they don't turn up here or very soon. I'll keep an eye out in the pit lane and let you know when it turns up.
Talking about confidence, two riders that really should be feeling confident after this year are the VR46 Mooney Racing boys. Luca Marini and Marco Bezzecchi both confirmed to stay with the team for 2023, Simon, and they really have made visible progress this year. Luca's finished just off the podium in these last two races. Can we see more from them next year, do you think?
I think, apart from unforeseen things like crashes or a confidence drop for some reason, definitely. I mean, you're talking Bezzecchi is in his first year, and the boy has been fast from, his first test on the bike, he was good, So I think with going into his second year, that now that he's kind of made mistakes, learned, normally riders make a jump forward, and he's a class boy, he really is. So I'd be very surprised if he doesn't continue his march. And like I've said repeatedly about Luca Marini, my way of putting it is he's a slow burner. And now I think you believe as well that he is. He didn't arrive on the scene with a bang, but he's marching forward bit by bit. He needs the bike set up right. He's very good at explaining to the team and the press what he needs and what he likes setup-wise. And I believe he's going to get all the way. So I think they've got two superstars in that team.
I don't doubt you. And just to finish off our housekeeping, Simon, it was announced today that Remy Gardner will be moving to World Superbikes next year with Yamaha. Fantastic news for the reigning Moto2 World Champion. An opportunity that I think we both hope really kind of pans out well for him.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And the thing is, I'm sad to lose Remy from this Paddock, because he was one of the two guys that was the cream of Moto2 last year, you know, and I've already said it in interviews how I went through the times, and the times from Moto2 last year are faster than the race times, you know, over the distance, where we can compare them, surface not changed or no rain, they're faster. So to lose one of them, so Reynolds moving across to RNF, but to lose Remy from this paddock when he was the cream of the young guys moving up is really sad to me, very sad. But Remy, I had a quick chat to him, he's doing what he wants to do. He's chosen this path. It was the best of what he was offered. There was no seat to MotoGP. I understand the risk to move back to Moto2 when you've already won it. It's one of those classes that it's easy to not get the right setup, not find it, not have the right backup, whatever it is, to have confidence, and you can sink. We've seen it, you know. So this to move across to a big bike and another class, and I believe that there's a Yamaha factory connection there as well, which it's really cool, like to be connected with the factory, meaning Yamaha and Remy together. It might mean other things in the future. And I'll be really surprised if this class young man that was Moto2 World Champion last year can't do some real damage in MotoGP, in World Superbikes.
Well, Remy, we wish you all of the best on your new adventure. So 33 points cover the top 3 men in the championship with 6 races remaining. Simon, Pecco Bagnaia, arguably the man on the front foot. He has become Ducati's first rider to win 4 consecutive races. He is dominant right now. Yes,
and I mean, I think Fabio's riding as well. I have to say that because I believe it.
Yep.
If not, you know, over the whole season, I think better. You know, if you take the whole season there, just my opinion. But Pecco, you're right, he's on form, and Ducati is the best machine. You know, we've said it all last year, we've said it, I'm saying it again now, and we're coming into circuits that Aragon, you know, with, I think from memory is 900 metres straight, second gear, first to second gear coming onto it. They pull so much on that straight, then it's good in the braking areas. We're coming to Aragon now. Then we've got Japan, another stop-start horsepower braking track. And then we've got Thailand, another stop-start horsepower braking track. He's coming into where he should, on paper, you know, depending on weather and all, he should be the man, you know. He's on the right machine for it. He's on form, like you say. So, yeah, it's dangerous. I think it's up to the others to lose as little as possible over these next 3. Then we get to Phillip Island, and I think the Yamaha and the Aprilia will be back with a bang.
Well, let's talk more about Yamaha. Fabio Quartararo, defending world champion, obviously the man with the advantage in the points lead. He obviously exceeded expectations in Austria, but then also missed an opportunity you would have felt in Misano. If you go back on his 3 last races here in Aragon, they've not been great. Why?
Well, it's been really hard to predict lately, because if you think about Misano, I came in there thinking he's going to, you know, stir the boys at the front up, especially after the inspiring ride he did in Austria. But it wasn't to be. Like in Misano, he got off the bike and said, the sad thing is nothing went wrong. I'm back where I am, and I did everything I could. So I get the impression that he's not able to force that bike further forward at the moment. And coming into Aragon, I would have put Aragon as a worse track for Yamaha because, like I listed, that big straight. Previous years I think they would have figured out the problem. Remember the disasters of the last couple here was a lot about front tyre overheating. It was the big, kind of the first time we saw it destroy some riders' results, you know. Tyre temperature through the roof, no front grip, no confidence, and back off and streak backwards. And I think they would have worked out how to avoid that now, but I still think it's a weak track for the Yamaha.
And let's also mention Aleix Espargaro, 3rd in the championship standings. Last 3 races, they've not been terrible by any means, but they're not the results you need if you are fighting for a world championship. Can he turn it around here? Okay,
Aleix, I've been genuinely, I think he should be pleased with the rescue he did at 2 bogey tracks of his, you know, Austria and Misano, and he got a 6th and a 6th, if I remember right. So I think that's a good rescue at pure bad tracks, you know. This is a good track for him. Alicia's done well on the previous model, which wasn't as competitive, and now he's on a bike that is really competitive. So I'd expect him to be up there, and while we're talking about Aprilia, we've got to mention Maverick. Maverick's been amazing here at previous years, like if not the fastest guy on the Yamaha, and he's just really quick, and now he's on a bike, and that's, I think, more competitive here, and he's on form from what we saw in Misano.
Well, we are getting ever so close to our press conference now, so I'm going to finish off with one last final thought. Big weekend coming up for Ducati as they have one hand on the Constructors' Trophy. But last time out, we saw an exceptionally close battle, entertaining one at that, between Pecco Bagnaia and Enea Bastianini, both coming up in this press conference. Simon, when do you think we're going to start hearing a bit more about perhaps light team orders coming into play?
Well, it was in Austria that on Saturday night I looked at the speed of the Ducatis and so many of them at the front, I thought there has to be. I mean, I hate team orders, but even I had to admit if I was Ducati I'd be like, boys, help this guy, because it's such an opportunity, you know, and it's all about winning this championship, isn't it? So I thought we'd hear more about it. They were more quiet, you know. They said, look, if basically the riders are telling us, they've been told, Paolo Ciabatti told me as well, if you can win the race, fair enough, go and do it. And I like that because GP wins, you know. If you lose that and you thought you could win it, you'll never forgive yourself, you know. That's why I hate team orders. But as I understand it, they've said, don't risk Pecco, don't do any bad moves, you know.
Fair enough.
Totally agree. And if you can help, please do. But you don't have to give up the win. I like that.
Great thoughts from you, Simon, as always. That's all from myself and Simon Crafar. We're handing it over now to our press conference with Matt Burt, joining the top 3 men in the championship, Marc Marquez, Joan Mir, and also Enea Bastianini. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye for now.